black mechanic girl fixes a Hell's Angels bike and gets fired. What happens next stuns everyone, written as a single plain paragraph of approximately 20,000 words. Across 4 chapters, 5,000 words each, packed with dramatic twists, a powerful moral arc, and viral potential. The hook is already included at the beginning to grab USA's UK audiences and drive subscribers. Keisha Johnson wasn't born into privilege, but she was born with a gift hands that could bring machines back to life and a mind that saw through rust and wreckage like an artist sees a blank canvas. At 24, Keisha worked at Brody's Auto and Bike Repair, a grimy little garage tucked into the corner of Dalton, Texas, a town where respect was earned the hard way, especially if you were young, black, and a woman in a job that had long been a man's world. Every day, she wiped oil off her fingers and held her head up high while some customers made snide comments. Others outright ignored her and asked for a real mechanic. And her boss, Brody, a hard-faced Vietnam vet who ran the shop like it was still 1969, treated her like a replaceable cog, but Keisha didn't mind. She wasn't there to win friends, she was there to build a future. That morning started like any other. A mist of gasoline hung in the air. A radio played old country blues, and Keisha was deep inside a busted Dodge when the unmistakable rumble of Harley pipes echoed into the garage. She looked up and saw him, Jake "Bulldog" Carson, a towering man with flame tattoos curling down his forearms, the Hell's Angels patch across his back like a warning sign. His custom-built Harley sputtered to a stop. Coughing smoke and leaking oil, Brody's eyes lit up. Hell's Angels weren't regular customers, but when they rolled in, they paid top dollar for loyalty. He rushed out to greet Bulldog, shaking his hand with both of his like he'd met a senator. "This baby's hurting?" Bulldog grunted, motioning toward his Harley. Brody nodded like a bobblehead. "We'll take care of it." "You want me or?" But Bulldog cut him off. "I want her." He pointed directly at Keisha. The entire shop went quiet. Brody blinked. "Her? Yeah. I saw her work last week when I rode past. Watched her fix a carburetor in 5 minutes flat. That girl knows her tools." Keisha's heart jumped. Never in her time at Brody's had someone requested her by name, especially not someone like Bulldog. Brody hesitated, then forced a smile. "Of course, Keisha, you're up." Keisha walked over slowly, every eye watching. She examined the Harley like a surgeon prepping for surgery. Bulldog handed her the key and stepped back. "No pressure, girl," he said. "But this bike's my life." Keisha smiled. "Then I'll treat it like mine." What followed was nothing short of magic. Keisha tore down the Harley's exhaust system, carefully lifting off the side covers like she was peeling an orange, and got to work. The carburetor was clogged, the fuel lines were brittle, and the timing was off, everything a mess under the sleek chrome body. But for Keisha, that was the fun part. She worked methodically, her fingers dancing across parts most people couldn't name. Bulldog watched in stunned silence, arms crossed, nodding every now and then. "Where do you learn all this?" he asked. "My dad," she said softly. "He used to fix bikes on our front porch. Said machines don't care what color you are, what gender you are. They just need respect." By late afternoon, the Harley roared to life, smooth as jazz, a sound like thunder on an open road. Bulldog swung his leg over it, revved it once, and grinned. "She's better than you," he said. "You're a genius, girl." Before he rode off, he peeled off a $100 bill and handed it straight to Keisha. "This is for you, not your boss. You earned it." Brody scowled from behind the counter. That moment of pride, however, came with a bitter cost. The next morning, Keisha came into work with a spring in her step only to find her toolbox locked, her time card missing, and Brody waiting by the door. "You're fired," he said bluntly. "What? You think you can show me up in my own shop? Take my customers and make me look like a fool?" He asked for me. I did my job. You embarrassed me in front of a Hell's Angel, Brody hissed. You want to play star mechanic? Do it somewhere else. Just like that, the job she held for 4 years vanished. No warning, no severance, no second chances. Keisha stood there in disbelief as Brody threw her jacket at her and slammed the door behind her. Humiliated, jobless, and furious, she walked home, fighting tears. That night, she sat in her room, surrounded by manuals, tools, and motorcycle parts, wondering if it was all for nothing. But somewhere inside, a fire lit up a fire that said this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The angel arrived to our nest 3 days later. A thunderous rumble shook her neighborhood. Keisha looked outside and froze. Bulldog was back calmly. He wasn't alone. 5 other riders rolled in behind him, each with a Harley, each wearing the Hell's Angels. Patch Keisha stepped outside nervously. I got fired, she said before he could speak. I know, Bulldog replied. We heard you. Heard. Brody ran his mouth at a local bar, said some girl tried to take over his shop, only he didn't say girl. The other riders chuckled darkly. You impressed. Me, Keisha. So here's the deal. We need a full-time mechanic, not just for one bike, but for all of ours. We've got a garage out on Route 7. It's ours. No boss but you. Keisha's jaw dropped. Me. Yeah, you. You earned it. That afternoon, she packed up her tools and rode in the back of Bulldog's Harley to a massive warehouse filled with engines, frames, and enough chrome to light up a city. It wasn't just a job. It was an empire waiting to be built. Word spread fast. The black mechanic girl who fixed a Hell's Angels bike and got fired. She was now the official mechanic for one of the most feared and respected biker clubs in Texas. People who once ignored her now lined up at her door. Local businesses offered her partnerships. But Keisha didn't forget. One evening, she returned to Brody's garage. This time, she walked in through the front, wearing a custom leather jacket with her new garage's logo, Keisha's Customs. Brody looked up and went pale. I'm not here to rub it in, she said calmly. Just wanted you to know when you judge someone by their skin, their gender, or their silence, you might be firing the very person who could have saved your business. She turned to leave, but not before slipping her old shop key onto the counter. You can keep this. I don't need it anymore. The legacy rides Owen Keisha's Customs became more than a garage. It became a symbol. She hired other Underdog's women, veterans, young kids from the streets who no one else would give a shot. Her shop had rules. Respect the tools, respect each other, and never judge by appearances. Every Hell's Angel in the region rode with her name painted somewhere on their bike, a quiet tribute to the girl who earned their loyalty, not with fear, but with fire and finesse. But the story didn't stop there. One day, Keisha was invited to speak at a high school in Dalton, the very school where teachers once said, "Mechanic isn't a career for a girl like you." She stood before rows of students, holding up a spark plug and a wrench, and told her story. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. One student raised his hand. Do you ever regret getting fired? Keisha smiled. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes, the door closing isn't the end. This is a sign to build your own. And that's what she did. From the ashes of a broken job, Keisha built an empire, shattered stereotypes, and rewrote what it meant to be a mechanic, a woman, and a fighter. And for anyone watching this who's ever been counted out, laughed at, or underestimated, just remember, the engine doesn't care about your race or gender. It only cares if you can make it roar. Subscribe now for more incredible stories of resilience, grit, and unexpected triumphs. You never know, the next one might just be yours.